Welcome to the review of Omerta, City of Gangsters. This game is highly based upon the 1920s mafia, or more or less the story of a specific person. Now, this game, while based upon this time period, definitely limits it to certain people. Well, people that like this era, like this kind of style of gameplay, like the people, because there's definitely some accents and stuff in this game which are kind of a bit overdone in my opinion. So, let's hop into this review and see what's really in this game. Now, the voice acting in this game, which I said is quite specific, I will let you see a preview of it, and this well represents and shows what the voice acting is like in this game.
Things didn't pan out exactly as I planned, boys. Seems like we'll be having some competition in our new line of work. We're gonna protect what's ours. And if anyone tries to get their dirty hands on it, well, they're for a beating.
Now, this game graphics wise is not exactly too stunning, but it definitely looks nice and appealing. As you can tell, there's a pretty high amount of detail, and you can see things on the streets, so you really feel like the game is living. You can see people driving around during the day, less people on the street at night, and it really does give a good feeling. And they don't really overuse building models too much, though I do definitely see it's like the same exact kind of basic idea of a 2-3 story house is a pretty common thing in this game. Now, the zoom feature is pretty nice. You can actually see people walking around. You can't select people though, you can only select buildings. So that's one thing that I personally complain about, because I know in games that this company has made, which this game is made by Calypso, such as Tropico 4, you can select somebody and follow their movement. Now, the camera angles, you can hold middle mouse and move this, but you cannot move your camera up and down, you can only zoom in and out. Which is one minor complaint, which doesn't really have much of an effect on the gameplay. So, as you can tell, this game has relatively nice graphics, and as you zoom in, it does stay relatively detailed. So, graphics wise, I'd say this game's a good 7 out of 10. Features of this game include finding out information about where you are, such as when you may click one of these question mark things, talk to a shopkeeper to find out rumors or something about this place that you don't know. Such as you can go big spender and make yourself look as a wealthy person, or you can go cheers and be a nice happy person. Some places only accept one or the other, such as this place, which only accepts the big spender one. You can send your squigs, which is the first person you become friends with, which is more or less one of your minions, more or less, to go do it, though when you send yourself it will be faster. And you can see yourself running over there, which personally I like. That way it's not just it's actually relatively believable, or more realistic time wise. So as you can see him running into the building, which let's get a nice good camera angle on that. As you can tell, you just walked into the building. Now, there's a lot of atmosphere in this game. The music, the people walking around, which you don't exactly, nobody really stands out, but there's a pretty good variety from what I can tell. So, and as you can tell, there's good atmosphere, good building textures, especially some of the more unique buildings. So as you can see, this place, probably, ads and stuff, definitely feels like a well-designed city. So, as you can tell this, when something's completed, it will appear on the bottom checklist that it's done.
You want something done right? Do it yourself.
I found 6 places of interest from talking to the shopkeeper. Once you find places of interest, you can select them and do things. Such as here, I can smuggle. When you smuggle, you randomly get beer, liquor, or firearms, which are more or less the main pieces in the game. So I'm going to send my Squigs to do it, who is the first friend you'll make, and you pay him $15 every day, which personally I see as a little
You don't have to repeat that.
less than I think you should. but it works. And as you can tell at night, the lighting is relatively nice. It definitely has a pretty realistic lighting effects, such as the lighthouse right there, although that's an odd place for a lighthouse in my opinion. So as you can tell, he's done.
I took the jam out of their donut.
We got 8 liquor. Now we can go ahead and select the jobs button, and this would be where things pop up, such as the 3 here, which are the 3 main things. Select beer. Somebody either might be buying or selling for a specific price somewhere in the city, which you would send you, yourself, or your henchman to go do. Same applies to liquor and firearms. So as you can tell, the day and night cycle is pretty nice. It stays relatively quick, and it doesn't feel like it takes too long or too short in a specific time period, although days do last quite a bit longer. Now here's one of the things you'll be doing. You can make relationships with a company which is neutral. You can buy things from them, and your relationship with them will increase and they'll like you more. Or you can do what I prefer to do and raid them, which you can get 20 liquor or a specific amount depending on the building size. And since you're stealing from an illegal company, you don't really catch too much police. So one minor complaint of mine is that the grass does not seem green enough in my opinion. It's a very nitpicky thing, but I don't know, it just doesn't, it looks kind of weird. Alright, so as you can tell, he's done. I can click check, and I have 20 more. And now my relationships with that person is cold. And they went bankrupt because I did that. So if you look right, that's one thing I don't like. It's kind of hard to hover over some of these things without hitting the box to move the camera. But as you can see, there's my firearms, my likeness, so the people like me more, my fearedness, so people don't want to mess with me as much, my amount of money, and this is how much space I have, and these are my people, the people that I can use. So right now I have 33 liquor, 0 firearms, and 0 beer. Another thing you can do is rob a residential building. You can purchase it and start gaining rent money every single day, or you can just go rob it and get dirty money, which in this game, more or less dirty money is what you'll be getting and using. Alright, now here's the combat. So you can select your team, which, the more the better. You can auto-resolve, but that's not very fun, and there's a lower chance of it working. So I'm going to go ahead and select start. One thing I do like is the loading screen, the revolver in the lower right.
Yeah, boys.
So we're here, and take out all opponents. So there are 3 opponents in this area, and these are my 2 people. They have health and courage, which I haven't really seen much of a use for courage, but the AP and MP. So things such as this costs 5 AP, and you can walk to specific coordinates.
You're gonna bark or bite?
And there's an enemy spotted, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk
Horse
there.
feathers. Here they are.
I can select an attack, which different things do different things. So this, which less precise shot but causes bleeding, which is a pretty nice thing to have on them. This, which increases my range accuracy. This, which increases an overall increase in accuracy. So I can select both of those. Shoot 'em, miss, hit. A lot of this game is based on percentages, and so as you can tell, I am out of AP, or not out of AP, but close, and out of MP, and I can't really do much more. You select end turn, and now it's their turn, and as you can tell, they're relatively good AI, pretty smart. Sometimes they'll do some weird stuff, but they're a relatively good AI system. So I'm going to go ahead and move to this angle, and move right there. Now what I can do is I can see this view, and I can select with my main person buckshot, which is a close range kind of thing, second wind, which increases my health, which will come quite in handy, knockback, which is less accurate but does quite a bit of damage and pushes them back, regular spread shot that'll just hit all the targets within the area if it hits, and then this to increase aim possibility. So I'm going to go ahead, and I cannot see you, so I'm going to go ahead and move right here. I'm going to select my aim. Still can't see you. I'm not too sure why, but that's alright. We'll move a bit closer. And now I'll shoot, miss, 21 damage. I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn. Now it's their turn.
On it!
And now I'm back to Squigs. And so I'm gonna go ahead and hide right behind this little barrel. I'm gonna use my precise shot and try and shoot him, which looks like he's almost down. I believe there'll be an enemy coming from over here. As you can tell, it's an open point. Just hopefully I'll be able to finish off these guys first. So combat is very good in my opinion. It's a good overhead turn-based thing that isn't exactly a common thing in games nowadays. Like, turn-based combat is almost non-existent now. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just select this. Shoot.
Time to meet your maker.
He's down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and move. It looks like I'm unable to move because I'm out of AP. So I'm gonna go ahead and see. There's a slight chance I'd hit him, so I might as well give it a shot. So I'll end my turn. There he goes, hiding behind and shooting. Looks like boss lost 50 health, which means I'm only at 90 out of 120. So now I'm back to Squigs. I'm gonna go ahead and use a precise shot. Oh, that didn't work too well. Looks like I'm out for him.
Alright, let's go.
I'll switch to my main guy. I think I'm gonna move up, get better range. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm thinking this through. I'm gonna run up right beside him, and I'm gonna use my straight up buckshot. Oh, it's quite a bad thing. I'm gonna go ahead and use my buckshot here, and for some odd reason it didn't work. So I'm not too sure about. Sometimes the combat is kind of glitchy.
Ready, boss.
But alright, so now it's back to me. I'm gonna go ahead and run over there, and it looks like looks like I did alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and end my turn. Back to the boss, and yeah, so you can use the arrow keys to move your camera, or you can just go to the end of the box or the screen. It just moves it in that direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and get behind this car for shelter, and then I'm gonna go ahead and try and shoot him with this. Ooh, that didn't work. Let's see. I think I'm just going to use this to increase my health and end my turn there. So as you can tell, I give combat a good 7 out of 10 because this combat definitely isn't perfect. It works well, but it just really isn't too good. I mean, it works for what it is, and I think it's quite good for what it is, but when it comes to what people are used to now, it's a little slow. But for strategy, this is a great game that I would highly recommend to people who really want this. So as you can tell, I've knocked out 2 of 3 of the enemies, and this shows what has happened every single round. So like one round I had this, so also it gives you more or less a status report on all current people you have, and that way you don't have to hover over them. You can just see it right here, just in case somebody's a bit low on health. So that's more or less the combat, and I definitely think it's a good combat system. It's pretty fun, definitely requires strategy, especially because more or less you get thrust into combat and you're normally more of them than you, but it's pretty fun, and it's definitely worth a shot. And personally, great combat for a strategy game, especially with this kind of APMP system, which hasn't been seen since more or less the last game I played that had it. This isn't like it's not like really that old, but last game I played that had this APMP system was the first Fallout, which is a pretty old game. Not a bad game, but an old game. But personally, this combat system, I love it. It's so much fun. It just suits the game really well. It has a nice difficulty amount, so you don't feel overpowered, but you don't feel underpowered. You aren't just gonna always lose. You might die once, but you should be able to get it done with an average amount of difficulty. Alright, now to get to the story. When you create your character, you can pick from these 6 portraits. I personally like this one, and you can select different stats. I'm just going to go ahead and keep selecting the middle one. Now, as you can tell, it more or less just changes the amounts of, muscle, finesse, toughness, smarts, guts, and cunningness you have. So, let's see, I'm just going to randomly select stuff. You select your difficulty level, which I selected medium, which definitely I like. Gives combat isn't too hard, combat isn't too easy. So let's just go ahead and listen to this little opening. It's not a cutscene, more or less. It's more like the if you played Max Payne, where it just shows a picture and you hear the words, but it still suits this kind of game.
America. Here I am, fresh off the boat. $5 in my pocket, dreaming the American dream. I had to get my feet on the ground pretty damn quick. In the land of the brave, the wicked go unpunished. In the land of the free, freedom is an expensive commodity, even the freedom to have a drink. Success is never about hard work or fate cutting you some slack right when you need it. Success comes from giving the people what they need, when they need it.
So to conclude the review, I'm going to give the story for Omerta City of Gangsters a 6 out of 10, because only about half the text is actually spoken, which is kind of a downfall, because it's like you hear it when some of the text is going, then he just stops talking, you have to read the rest, which, it's kind of more like you should choose one or the other. So, it's overall, I'd say about a 6.5. Now, the reason I give it that is because it really depends on who you are. If you like games like Mafia 1 and 2 because of their story, then it's a great game. If you like them because of their combat, which is kind of more of a GTA style, I wouldn't recommend this game. But if you like strategies and you're a fan of those kind of games like StarCraft, and you also like the 1920s Mafia kind of setting, then this is an absolutely great game. It's fun, it has good strategy, good combat, and is a pretty fun game for anybody who would enjoy any of those things. Thanks for watching, hope you tune in next time.